Palworld 1.0 is less than a day away and a new official launch trailer just dropped, finally marking the exit out of early access. We've got some slight new gameplay, footage of some brand new pals, but also a confession. I've actually seen most of this as I already played the 1.0 version for about 100 hours at this point. Of course, thanks to Pocketpair for providing an early key. So while I cannot discuss anything here that breaks the embargo until, well, at least June 10th is here, we will go over some of the brand new pals and features that they recently revealed. And by the way, if you want to stay tuned with everything coming up to Palworld, make sure you subscribe. There's a ton of footage and a lot of new guides coming on the channel. So we're going to begin with the start of the video with the character doing a flyby on a Felorus over some familiar zones, one of which being of course Mount Obsidian, where we can already see two new pals here in the background on the ground level right towards the end. Some kind of four-legged, either reptilian or maybe dragon fire pals, one of which is actually sleeping and another one either in the process of going to sleep or waking up depending on the time of day. There were also two figures on the edge there at the beginning of the scene, although I haven't seen them moving and the resolution is so small that I'm not sure if they are environmental props or completely new pals, just because, well, I mean, the footage is not clear enough. Then it transitions and we're gonna have at second number 10 pretty much the world tree once again. We can now see it's been updated. There's some strange energy glowing in the middle of it, and of course we can see a lot more detail. There's vegetation. You already know this has been part of the game for a long time but was never accessible. From this point on, we're going to jump to second 14 where we can see confirmed named Sekhmet over here doing a dance, and yeah, she seems to be in the same theme as Anubis, probably a ground pal as well, and definitely seems like he found his match, and I'm definitely liking the vibe, I'm not gonna lie. Moving on to second 20, we see a bunch of gloopies just chilling. This is already in the game, and right next after, it's a brand new character called Dupin. This is basically a jester type pal, of course, obviously from the theme and the fact that it's juggling a bunch of balls out of that hat. We know that this has been data mined quite a while ago, and apparently its abilities relate to being able to transform or mimic other pals, which definitely brings something new to the table. And on top of that, in the next scene, I'm not sure if this is the regular Celine we already have in the game or if it's a new variant. I'm not sure from the coloring and the scene itself, so who knows, let me know down in the comments. Not long after this, we have another confirmed named new pet, which goes by the name of Poofault. It's basically a very fluffy small little dog that seems to have some kind of, I don't know, electric Pikachu costume, and obviously this is going to be an electric type. A lot of these seem to be on the smaller size, so Pocketpair announced that they've revamped the beginning experience as well, and I'm thinking that they added a lot of new pals along the way as well, this being one of it, or at the very least I guess this is going to be encountered in the Fey break if I were to judge it by what's in the background. Then we're going to skip some more to the 31 second where we see 4 brand new pals, one of which we've seen before. Of course, I think this scene was present in other trailers with the big bird in the sky, probably a frost related pal from the looks of it, and I believe we've seen a fire variant of it as well. We then also have the frost plume here that's already in the game on the right corner of the screen. But then we have 3 other full grass type characters and a feline new pal right there by the side of the player. What I know is that the one furthest in the back is called the Tropiclaw. That's a new kind of like a bird companion that we've seen from other angles in other kinds of footage. My favorite scene, however, is this one, which makes another appearance with 2 new frost pals. One is the bunny hat lady. Definitely both of them seem to be frost pals, and this is definitely a very interesting design. And then there's also some kind of, I don't know, a very small fur ball here on the right side. So a very interesting set of new characters added for the frost theme. Second 56 has the Medusa pal once again here in full view. Really liking the design on this one as well. Looks very innocent. I do wonder if it does actually have Medusa powers. Moving on to minute 1 and 1 second, we have another new fire pal, a much bigger one this time. It's probably going to be an alpha from the looks of it because it's only one of them. The region seems to also be new with a lot of like dead vegetation in the background, but this guy seems to be fire related. So a brand new fire pal with a really crazy hairstyle over there and a really awesome stance. Literally in the next scene, we then have at least one new pal here in the background. We can see it on the left side, this sort of magical moth, I guess, that's also bipedal, really big antennas, really cool moth motif going on. So yeah, it seems to be rather large, but it's immediately followed by Ophidia. We've seen footage of this again in some of the previous trailers, another water type pal that seems to be really interesting. So again, all of these locations seem to be completely new. We can see from the floating islands in the background, and we're going to talk about some of the new zones in just a little bit. But not before talking about this really crazy new mechanical dragon boss we can see here, full covered in metal. Even its wings are metal, and it seems to be using its wings to launch a barrage of rockets or some kind of explosive attacks. Really interesting design, but let's keep on going. Which of course brings us to base building. So here's an interesting fact about update 1.0. They mentioned that there's going to be base building on water, and we can already see that in full effect over here. Likely one of the new sets, and we can see it being placed literally in front of the tree. And now we can see that the tree also features a barrier in front of it. From the looks of it, we already know that in front of the tree there's literally nothing but an ocean separating us from the next island in the distance. So this seems to be one of the new sets with some of the new technologies. Also another new pal here in the background, or actually a couple of them. We can see these rock formations with some kind of pal inside controlling them. One of them is sleeping on the ground, and the other one is basically just standing around, likely meaning that its idle animation is, I guess, a pile of rocks until it finally gets to assemble. And here's, by the way, another shot of that fire pal we've seen in the beginning of the trailer. It's basically resting over there on the right side of this created village. Looks really interesting. We can see it in more detail, and yes, it's different than the ones already inhabiting at the very least Mount Obsidian like we've seen it at the beginning. Now, at one point, we've seen some very low-resolution photos of this next one, but yeah, we seem to have a new large bipedal grass pal over onto the right side. Actually, two new brand ones we can see right next to one another. Both of them are grass-related. One is the large hat lady with, I don't know, some kind of contraption on the head. And then there's also the very bored guy with the large horns. Also a bulldozer and some kind of new fox type pet with something on its back that I'm seeing on the left side. And then there's also this kung fu, again a different version of a grass panda, but female version this time around. Maybe, you know, just like in the case of the Sekhmet, who is kind of like the counterpart of Anubis, maybe this version is the counterpart of Mosanda. I know that they are technically different pals doing different things, but it's nice to see that the theme is kind of splitting and offering more options. All the way until the next scene where we see another new dark pal. I don't know, reminds me of that guy from Hotel Transylvania there in the background. Very gloomy guy with a very bored look, long face, and some kind of hair that's blowing in the wind. Looks creepy as heck, but it's likely going to be a brand new dark pal as well. The one next to it seems to be confirmed to be named Hoodle, by the way, also seen in some of the other footage. And then on the top of the stairs there in the very far background, we see that there is a brand new other grass type, I guess, character with a really big mushroom on the head and a series of other smaller mushrooms appearing almost as horns from all around its cap. And finally, the last but definitely not least pal we've seen from this trailer and the previous footage is once again the massive whale pal that once again our character is seen riding it towards, I guess, the same sort of glitch formation that appeared in front of the tree as well, of the large tree. So it seems to be related to that somehow. This time around, compared to the old trailers, we're only seeing our playable character on it, while in the very old, like pre-2021 trailers, it also featured other pals sitting at the top of the whale itself. Maybe that got changed, but then it all ends, and basically that's the trailer for now. However, that's not the only information that we got up until this point, because we've got quite a bit of extra footage from their official Twitter account. So let's start with the first one. Previously, like I said, they confirmed that there's now going to be offshore buildings, so literally you can now build sites offshore, building pretty much on water. We've seen that footage with the base, but there's actually another angle of an even bigger one, also in front of the tree, and we can even see some of the technologies over there likely going to be unlockable in the end game, all of which looks very technological. It seems that we've advanced a lot compared to some of the stuff we have unlocked already in the game. And once again, we can see the large bird there in the background, the same ice bird we've seen flying about in the previous footage. Then we have a pair of bulldozers performing, well, what appears to be some kind of sumo moves. They are kind of like dogs, but earth-related dogs. And then there's also this barracuda-looking kind of fish in the background. It looks really awesome. Maybe that's not the proper fish name, but I could have sworn that I've seen the same one at some point in the combat footage, transforming into a sword. Like you can see here, disassembling, the body goes away, it just has the head going on, which then gets used as a freaking sword against this fire pal once again. Absolutely top notch. Probably going to main this somehow. But what's for sure is that a lot of the Palworld experience will change with 1.0. There are massive new areas to explore, of which we've seen some glimpse of in the recent trailers and whatnot. There are quite a few zones over here that appear to be completely new compared to what we had before. We already had the Fabric Island and Sakurajima, but it seems that a lot more will get added on top of that. We've had one high in the skies above Palpagos right here with some kind of boss encounter against somebody called Auri, but we don't see much of it. However, it does feature the same sort of kind of like floating islands we can see in the background, just like what we've seen in some of the previous release footage. In fact, it's not just vast new areas to explore, existing areas also get improved to make them feel more alive. And possibly nothing more alive than the overhaul they brought to the wildlife sanctuaries. I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the most disappointing part about the game. So it seems that they have made some massive changes to how sanctuaries feel, and each one has their own unique ecosystem now. We can already see a couple of them from the trailer they posted a few days ago. So for example, one of them may be a large sort of jungle and it looks like it has a lot of grass type pals. Another one may look like something that was, I don't know, submerged through water and then brought back to the surface. And then finally there's like this really cool sort of volcanic area but with blue lava, and obviously a lot of fire creatures in the background as well. Even Astigon over there, probably going to be a boss we can fight. And the security system seems to have been updated as well. Now we have these flying drones. They seem to also be different and roaming about from the looks of it, flying all around and probably, you know, preventing us from being there. So instead of having the regular police like before, and now you have these as an attack system. Anyway, with a few more hours up until 1.0 releases, expect a lot more coverage on the channel. Guides are literally uploading as it is. Some of them have already been up and will be up by the time the game comes out in, I guess, like 6 in the morning for me, so that's going to be literally 12 hours from the moment of making this video. But that's pretty much it with it so far. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.